Screen Park Unlimited.
This is episode 25 of the Ghost Stories, and in this episode there'll be 4 mini ghost stories, and they're all from Devon. So here's the first one. It's called His Master's Vengeance. Another black dog is to be found on the road from Princetown to Plymouth. Local legends says that he was the pet of a traveller murdered many years ago. He travels the lonely road looking for the murder of his master, so he may take his revenge. Unfortunately, he has been known to make mistakes. Many years ago, a visitor was walking along in the winter when he was joined by the companionable animal. Fond of dogs, he tried to pat its head, but was suitably alarmed when his hand passed through it. Suddenly a flash of lightning struck him, and he wasn't found until the next day, still unconscious, but obviously lucky to be alive. So that's the end of that ghost story. So the next ghost story is called The Dog Gone Ponsworthy Pig. Yet another black dog was found near Ponsworthy by a local chap who just happened to be on his way back from the pub at Hexworthy. He tied his scarf around the dog's neck and led him home, locking him in his stable for the night. The following morning, when he invited his neighbours to inspect his captive, he was embarrassed to find his scarf tied around the neck of a large black pig. We rather think that the spirit in this story owes more to the Forest Inn at Hexworthy than to the spirit world. So that's the end of that ghost story. So the next ghost story is called Squire Fulford. Lady Howard's coach is not the only one on Dartmoor to be pulled by a headless horses. There is a haunted house called Great Fulford on the eastern side of Dartmoor. One of the old squires, Fulford's coaches, has occasionally been seen near Dunsford, driven along the lanes by the old Cavalier gentleman himself. This phantom coach is pulled by 4 headless horses, but unfortunately, history doesn't tell us the reason for the squire's outings. And the final ghost story is called More Headless Horses. Several decades ago, a young man proudly took his friends off on a jaunt across the moors in his new car. As they reached high ground, they became enveloped by a thick mist. They soon mistook the line of the road and drifted onto open moorland. They immediately realised their mistake, but the mist was so dense they could not see the road at all. As in all good ghost stories, instead of staying in the safety of the car, they got out to look for the road. Suddenly, to their great astonishment, they heard the sound of thundering hooves quickly bearing down on them. As they gazed into the mist, they were transfixed by the ghostly sight of several headless horses, all mounted by headless riders, menacingly encircling them. Fearing for their lives, they cranked the engine. We said it was a few years ago. Dropping the start handle in their panic, frantically they drove away, finally regaining the road after a bit of bumping and skidding. A day or so later, when the conditions were a little better, the young man decided to go back for his starting handle. Now, be honest, would you have gone back by yourself? He located the spot and retrieved the lost tool. Embedded in the ground, he saw not only the footprints of himself and his friends, plus the tire marks of his car, but also the horse print and the hoof prints of galloping and stumping horses. But they did not lead away from or up to the spot. A similar event occurred when the Chackford Home Guard were on duty at Guildmere one night in 1943. On a clear, bright moonlight night, the sound of galloping hooves raced up to and past them, but no horses were seen. So that's the end of the 4 ghost stories and the end of this episode. So it's time to say cue those credits.